Have you ever looked at someone in a position of authority and wondered, how did they even get here? You're not alone. We've all witnessed moments when the least qualified seem to rise effortlessly, while capable individuals remain overlooked and unheard. It feels unfair, even mystifying, like the world has tilted off its axis. Today, you're going to uncover the unsettling truth that Niccolò Machiavelli first laid bare in 1513, a truth as relevant now as it was in Renaissance Florence. In a world that craves certainty and simple answers, boldness often outshines genuine skill. Confidence masquerades as competence, and perception eclipses reality. Understanding this paradox doesn't just help you spot it in the corridors of power. It empowers you to navigate your own life with greater clarity and wisdom. Imagine standing at a crossroads in your career or personal journey, torn between cautious deliberation and the bold leaps you see rewarded all around you. This video will guide you through Machiavelli's most incisive lessons, revealing why foolishness can become a fast track to influence. You'll learn how the Dunning-Kruger effect tilts favor toward the overconfident, why insecure leaders build islands of incompetence around themselves, and how our craving for simple narratives leaves us vulnerable to shallow yet seductive promises. By the end of this exploration, you'll possess a compassionate understanding of human nature's darker currents and practical tools to guard yourself and your community against them. You'll gain the vocabulary to articulate what feels intuitively wrong when you watch power slip into unworthy hands, and you'll discover strategies to elevate wisdom, humility, and genuine merit in your own life. So lean in with an open mind. Let these ancient insights ripple into your daily choices, at work, in relationships, and as a citizen of a complex world. You are not powerless in the face of these forces. With awareness and intention, you can shine a light on competence, champion virtue, and reclaim the true meaning of leadership. Welcome to the Stoic Philosophy. Let's begin this journey together. Part 1. Machiavelli's Realism, Power as it Is. Machiavelli didn't write about how rulers should behave in a perfect world. He wrote about how power truly works in a messy one. When you first encounter his words, you might feel a chill, because he strips away comforting ideals and shows you the raw mechanics of influence. Yet this clarity can be liberating. By seeing power as it actually is, you gain insight to navigate your own path with greater wisdom. The philosopher of reality. In The Prince, Machiavelli departs from the lofty visions of Plato or Aristotle. He refuses to dwell on moral perfection, arguing instead that leaders must understand the realities of human nature, its ambitions, its fears, its fickle loyalties. He observed that people are motivated more by self-interest than by virtue. Recognizing this isn't cynicism, it's self-defense. When you grasp these truths, you protect yourself from illusions that leave you vulnerable. Stoic resonance. Marcus Aurelius counseled himself to look beneath the surface. Let not the several qualities of a thing nor its worth escape thee. Machiavelli echoes this Stoic injunction. He urges you to pierce appearances and study human motives. By honing this inner vision, you learn to perceive both opportunities and threats before they fully emerge, empowering you to act with foresight rather than surprise. Personalizing the lesson. Think of a moment in your life when someone's confident facade misled you. Perhaps a persuasive colleague or a charismatic acquaintance whose true intentions only revealed themselves later. That sting of betrayal can linger, reminding you of your own wish to trust. Machiavelli's realism calls you not to harden your heart, but to refine your discernment. You learn to welcome goodwill while remaining alert to hidden agendas. Illustrative story. Imagine Jennifer, a nonprofit director who believed in the inherent goodwill of her board members. She offered them full transparency only to discover that a faction used confidential information to advance their own interests. Stung but wiser, she adopted Machiavelli's pragmatic stance. She continued honoring her values but implemented clear accountability measures. By acknowledging the full spectrum of human motives, Jennifer protected her organization's mission without surrendering her integrity. A Stoic perspective on ethics. While Machiavelli is often accused of advising ruthless behavior, he never dismisses the value of virtue outright. His argument is that in the real world, actions must sometimes diverge from ideals to achieve lasting good. In this sense, his realism complements Stoicism. Both traditions teach you to focus on what you can control, your judgments and actions, while accepting the unpredictable nature of external events. Practical application. Begin by practicing honest observation. In your next meeting or social gathering, watch the interplay of words and deeds. Notice who speaks eagerly and whose contributions are quietly sidelined. Ask yourself, what motives might lie beneath that gesture, that promise, that hesitation? This mindful curiosity trains you to see beyond surface charm and recognize the levers of influence at work. Emotional resilience. You may worry that adopting this realistic lens turns you into a cynic, closing you off to trust and collaboration. Instead, view it as building emotional armor. When you expect some people to act out of self-interest, you remain open to genuine kindness without naively exposing yourself to harm. This balance between openness and discernment is a hallmark of both Stoic equanimity and Machiavellian insight. Strengthening your inner vision. Cultivate daily reflection. At day's end, journal one interaction that felt dissonant, where words and actions didn't align. Reflect on possible hidden motives and how you might respond if that divergence occurs again. Over time, you'll develop a sharper eye for authenticity and a steadier confidence in your own judgments. Invitation to reflect. Recall a moment when you felt blindsided by someone's facade. Hold that scene in your mind, then ask yourself, how would I have acted differently if I'd seen their motive sooner? Let that insight guide your next decisions. Remember that true power lies not in naively trusting or cynically doubting, but in seeing clearly and responding with balanced wisdom. Transition to next part. Having grounded yourself in Machiavelli's unvarnished view of power, you're ready to explore how appearance often matters more than competence. Next, we'll examine the affirmation, appearance over competence, revealing why projecting confidence can eclipse genuine expertise and how you can see through that illusion. Part 2. Appearance over competence. Machiavelli taught that everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. In other words, the image you project often carries more weight than the substance beneath. When you recognize this truth, you gain the power to look past the masks people wear and to ensure your own authenticity shines through, rather than mere theatrics. The power of perception. Imagine walking into a room where one person speaks with unwavering certainty, while another offers careful analysis with tentative language. Even if the analyst holds deeper insights, the confident speaker will seize attention. This isn't mere showmanship. It's a reflection of how your mind and the minds around you assign credibility. You've felt that magnetic pull toward decisiveness, whether at a meeting or in a social setting. Machiavelli's realism calls you to honor genuine competence while remaining vigilant against the persuasive power of confidence without substance. Stoic insight on authenticity. Epictetus reminded us to be careful to leave your body to no one else, Let your mind dwell on what is truly yours. He urged self-awareness over external validation. When you embrace this Stoic teaching, you cultivate an inner compass that guides your self-presentation. You learn to project confidence grounded in preparation, rather than adopting a mask to win temporary influence. In doing so, you align how you appear with who you truly are. Illustrative story. Consider Rachel, a junior engineer who felt overshadowed by a colleague known for dramatic presentations and quick sound bites. She hesitated to speak up, convinced that flair always triumphed over detail. One day, facing a technical crisis, she calmly explained the root cause and a clear solution. Her measured delivery, backed by solid evidence, settled anxieties more effectively than broad promises. In that moment, colleagues saw that depth of understanding can outlast the sparkle of empty rhetoric. Rachel's competence became her most persuasive asset, reshaping perceptions through integrity rather than theatrics. Cultivating substance. When you prepare for any situation, an important conversation, a pitch, or a debate, focus first on mastering your material. Ask yourself, what core message do I want to convey? What evidence underpins it? By anchoring yourself in truth, your confidence grows naturally. This disciplined preparation becomes the foundation upon which genuine presence is built. Balancing confidence and humility. Confidence draws people in. Humility keeps them listening. Seneca advised, associate with people who are likely to improve you. He highlighted the value of learning from those you trust. When you speak with conviction, acknowledge the limits of your knowledge. A simple phrase like, based on what I've observed, can diffuse defensiveness and invite collaboration. This blend of certainty and openness distinguishes you from those who use bombast to conceal uncertainty. Emotional resonance. You might worry that dialing back showmanship will leave you invisible. That fear is natural. Yet substance carries its own magnetism. When you speak from authenticity, you connect at a deeper level. Listeners sense honesty and expertise, even if the delivery is understated. In those moments, you foster trust that outlives fleeting impressions. Practical application. Before your next meeting or presentation, perform a 2-minute mental rehearsal. Visualize yourself speaking clearly, grounded in your knowledge. Remind yourself, I will let my competence speak. As you do, notice how your posture aligns, how your tone steadies. This simple ritual shifts the energy from performance pressure to purposeful engagement. Spotting the illusion. To guard against shallow charisma, watch for telltale signs. Grandiose language, sweeping statements without evidence, or constant self-promotion. When you encounter these, pause and ask, what proof supports this claim? This habit of gentle inquiry trains you to value substance over style and to offer constructive feedback when appropriate. Invitation to reflect. Think back to a time when you mistook confidence for competence. Perhaps you followed an idea that later revealed itself unsound. Hold that memory and consider, how might I evaluate bold claims more carefully next time? Let that reflection guide you to honor true expertise and to present your own abilities with balanced confidence and humility. Part 3. Overconfidence and the Dunning-Kruger effect. Machiavelli observed that those who claim absolute certainty often rise quickly, even when their foundations are shaky. You may have felt that pull yourself, drawn to voices that never hesitate. This comfort in certainty can propel fools into power while leaving the truly competent unseen. The Dunning-Kruger paradox. Psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger discovered a striking pattern. Individuals with limited knowledge dramatically overestimate their competence, while real experts aware of complexities, tend to underestimate themselves. Shakespeare captured this centuries earlier. The fool doth think he is wise, but the wise man knows himself to be a fool. When you recognize this bias in yourself, you gain the self-awareness needed to temper confidence with humility. Stoic wisdom on humility. Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. True growth depends on honest self-assessment, not on projecting infallibility. By embracing this Stoic insight, you build a foundation of genuine competence that can withstand the storms of criticism and the temptations of arrogance. Illustrative story. Imagine Lucas, a mid-level manager bursting with ambition. He entered meetings brimming with definitive answers, dismissing colleagues' doubts. His certainty impressed senior leaders, earning him rapid promotions. Yet when a major project failed catastrophically, Lucas was unprepared to diagnose the problem. His overconfidence had blinded him to vital feedback. In contrast, his teammate Maya, quiet, inquisitive, and fully aware of her knowledge gaps, stepped forward with a thoughtful analysis. Though she lacked Lucas's bravado, her balanced perspective was exactly what the team needed to recover and rebuild. Emotional resonance. You might feel uneasy admitting gaps in your understanding, fearing it will cost you respect or opportunity. That fear is precisely what keeps overconfidence alive. Acknowledging what you don't know isn't a weakness, it's courage. When you share doubts and ask for input, you invite collaboration and foster trust. You demonstrate that leadership rooted in authenticity outlasts the hollow appeal of certainty. Practical application. Cultivating intellectual humility. Each morning, set an intention to identify one area where you truly lack expertise. Journal a question you don't yet have the answer to. Throughout the day, seek perspectives from others, peers, mentors, or even critics. When you catch yourself making a sweeping statement, pause and soften it. Replace "this will work" with "based on what I know, this seems promising." These small shifts build a resilient mindset anchored in learning rather than in performance. Philosophical commentary. Seneca reminded us, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. Overconfidence scatters your attention, convincing you that you have mastered domains you've barely touched. Genuine wisdom requires focus on the present task and the humility to explore its depths. By resisting the impulse to appear omniscient, you cultivate depth over breadth, mastery over superficial acclaim. Recognizing overconfidence in others. To protect yourself and your community, learn to spot the signs of the Dunning-Kruger effect in leadership. Beware of promises made with absolute language. "I guarantee," "trust me, I know," especially when unaccompanied by concrete evidence or an openness to feedback. When you encounter such certitude, gently inquire about supporting data or alternative viewpoints. This compassionate challenge can invite reflection rather than defensive retreat. Invitation to reflect. Recall a time you felt certain about a decision, only to discover critical information you'd overlooked. Hold that memory and ask, how might I approach a similar situation differently now? Let that reflection guide you toward embracing uncertainty as an invitation to learn, not as a threat to your competence. Transition to next part. Having learned to temper overconfidence with humility, you're prepared to see how insecure leaders protect their power by surrounding themselves with weaker allies. Next, we'll explore loyalty over talent, building islands of incompetence, revealing how the fear of being upstaged perpetuates folly at the top, and what you can do to foster genuine merit in your own circles. Part 4. Loyalty over talent, building islands of incompetence. Machiavelli warned that the surest way for an insecure ruler to protect his position is to surround himself with subordinates who pose no threat. When you understand this dynamic, you see how organizations, whether ancient courts or modern offices, can become echo chambers of mediocrity, where true talent is sidelined in favor of loyalty. The Machiavellian Principle. In The Prince, Machiavelli wrote, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. A leader who hires confident experts invites challenge and risk. A leader who hires flatterers secures his throne. When you recognize this pattern, you become alert to the signs of a competence drought spreading outward from the top." Stoic perspective on associations. Seneca counseled, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." Genuine growth arises when you engage with those who push you to refine your ideas, question your assumptions, and strengthen your character. In contrast, a leader's inner circle of yes-men stifles creativity and integrity, creating a fortress of complacency that ultimately crumbles under external pressures. Illustrative story. Imagine you've joined a startup led by a charismatic founder who fears being outshone. Initially, you're excited by the energy and bold vision. But you soon notice that every department head is chosen more for personal loyalty than for skill. Talented colleagues who voice constructive criticism are quietly reassigned. Flatterers who cheer every initiative climb the ladder. Projects falter as real expertise is suppressed. You feel the tension building, watching good ideas die for lack of support. In time, the company's promise fades as its foundation of competence erodes. Emotional resonance. You might recall times in your own career when your insights were brushed aside because they threatened the status quo. That sting of disappointment can linger, leaving you wary of voicing your best ideas. Recognizing Machiavelli's warning empowers you to seek environments where competence is valued, not punished. It also challenges you to be the voice of integrity in places that need it most. The cost of complacency. When subordinates lack ability, decisions become unbalanced. Flawed strategies go unchallenged, risks multiply, and accountability disappears. As mistakes compound, the organization drifts further from its purpose. You may witness talented teams frustrated by red tape, creative initiatives shelved for lack of support, and morale eroded by the perception that merit makes no difference. Practical application: choosing your circle. Begin by reviewing your own professional and personal circles. Ask yourself, who encourages my growth? Who stifles it? Strengthen relationships with people who question you, challenge you, and inspire you to improve. When you join a new team, observe how feedback is received. If genuine critique is met with defensiveness, consider whether this is a group you want to invest your talents in. Philosophical commentary. Epictetus taught, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." While you cannot directly control others' choices, you can control whom you choose to surround yourself with. By seeking out environments where competence is honored, you exercise your agency and protect your potential from suffocating in an island of incompetence. Cultivating moral courage. Challenging a leader's choice of subordinates requires courage. You may worry about the personal cost of speaking truth to power. Yet, when you act with respect and clarity, offering insights grounded in evidence rather than ego, you model the very competence you wish to see. Small interventions like proposing a skill-based review process or mentoring a talented but overlooked colleague can chip away at complacency and plant seeds of reform. Stories of Renewal history offers examples of organizations that reversed the tide. In post-war Japan, industrial leaders instituted rigorous quality circles, empowering skilled workers to challenge managers and improve processes. By valuing expertise over hierarchy, Toyota and others rebuilt their industries. This revival demonstrates that even entrenched islands of incompetence can be transformed when merit becomes the organizing principle. Invitation to reflect. Recall a time when you felt silenced by the politics of loyalty over talent. How did it shape your sense of purpose? Now imagine yourself advocating gently but firmly for skill and integrity to guide decisions. What small step could you take today to support competence in your circle? Part 5. The comfort of simple answers. When life feels chaotic and uncertain, your mind craves clarity. Simple solutions offer relief, like a cool breeze on a sweltering day. Yet, what feels soothing can blind you to deeper truths, leading you to follow hollow promises rather than seeking genuine understanding. Machiavelli's observation. Machiavelli noted, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand." In other words, people are drawn to what appears clear and convincing, even if it lacks substance. When you grasp this, you recognize why bold assertions or catchy slogans can eclipse nuanced expertise, drawing support from those who hunger for certainty. Stoic reflection on perception. Epictetus counseled, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." He emphasized deliberate intention over blind acceptance. By grounding your choices in self-knowledge, you resist the lure of simplistic answers that conflict with your values and long-term goals. Each time you feel the pull toward a decisive slogan, "Our way is the only way," or "This fix will solve everything," pause and ask yourself, does this claim align with a deeper understanding, or is it masking complexity? This moment of reflection becomes your shield against the seduction of superficial certainty. Illustrative story. Consider Mark, a community organizer who faced deep divisions in his neighborhood. A charismatic newcomer arrived, promising to resolve every conflict with a single decree. Many were eager to follow, tired of endless debate. Mark, however, remembered the complexity of the issues: economic struggles, historical mistrust, and unmet promises. Instead of adopting the newcomer's rallying cry, he invited residents to small, honest conversations. Over time, trust grew organically, and solutions emerged collaboratively. Mark's willingness to embrace nuance proved more effective than any one-size-fits-all proclamation. Emotional resonance. You've likely felt the pull of simple answers yourself, perhaps in a workplace decision or a personal dilemma. That instant relief can feel empowering, as if a weight has lifted. Yet later, you may discover unintended consequences or hidden costs. Recognizing this pattern frees you from the fleeting high of certainty and invites you to engage with complexity where true progress lies. The allure of cognitive closure. Psychologists call the desire for definitive answers cognitive closure. When you feel stressed or overwhelmed, your brain seeks to end the uncertainty quickly. This impulse once helped your ancestors make swift decisions in life or death situations. Today, however, complex social and organizational challenges require sustained inquiry rather than rapid conclusions. When you catch yourself rushing toward a neat solution, pause and invite questions. What assumptions am I making? Whose voices might be missing? Embracing this inquiry cultivates intellectual humility and reminds you that real wisdom often dwells amid ambiguities. Practical application. Create a simple complexity check ritual before major decisions. Write down 3 potential factors that complicate the issue: conflicting interests, long-term impacts, and hidden variables. Then consider how each might alter your initial inclination. This brief exercise slows you down and ensures your judgment is informed, not merely comforted by simplicity. Philosophical commentary. Seneca warned, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. True progress unfolds through deliberate effort, not by skipping steps. When you resist the impulse to jump to conclusions, you honor the reality that meaningful change requires time, reflection, and patience." Cultivating patience and depth. Embrace patience as a skill. In moments of urgency, tight deadlines, heated arguments, or personal crises, give yourself a mental pause. Breathe deeply, acknowledge the complexity, and remind yourself, good solutions are rarely simple. Over time, this habit becomes a cornerstone of thoughtful leadership, setting you apart from those who chase applause with easy mantras. Invitation to reflect. Recall a time when you embraced a simple promise and later faced disappointment. Hold that memory, then ask, what deeper questions could have guided me instead? Let that reflection ground you in humility and curiosity, preparing you to engage with life's challenges more authentically. Transition to next part. Having learned to resist the comfort of simple answers, you're now ready to confront the moral dimension of power. Next, we'll explore moral constraints versus ruthlessness, where we examine how ethical considerations can become liabilities, and how you can navigate moral complexity with courage and integrity. Part 6, Moral Constraints versus Ruthlessness. Machiavelli challenged the assumption that virtue alone secures power. He argued that an unwavering commitment to ethics can become a liability in the ruthless game of influence. When you understand this tension, you'll see how moral integrity can both guide and constrain you, and how those willing to abandon scruples often surge ahead. Machiavelli's hard truth. In The Prince, Machiavelli wrote, "It is necessary for a prince who wishes to maintain his position to learn how not to be good, and to use this knowledge, or not, according to necessity." He didn't celebrate cruelty. He simply recognized that in struggles for authority, those who refuse any moral compromise may be outmaneuvered by opponents who have no such qualms. Stoic reflection on virtue. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Stoicism elevates integrity as a guiding star. Yet even Marcus acknowledged that living virtuously in a complex world demands judgment about when to act and when to yield. Your challenge is to navigate moral gray zones without losing sight of core principles. Illustrative story: Cicero versus Caesar. Consider Cicero, the principled orator who believed in reason, debate, and republican virtue. His unwavering ethics prevented him from embracing the decisive, often brutal tactics necessary to secure Rome's future. Julius Caesar, by contrast, crossed the Rubicon without hesitation, silencing opponents and centralizing power. Caesar's ruthlessness won the day, even as it crushed the republic Cicero cherished. Modern parallel. In recent business history, you may recall leaders who prioritized profit at any cost, layoffs without warning, aggressive acquisitions, or misleading marketing. Their willingness to sacrifice employees or customers for short-term gain secured headlines and stock boosts. Meanwhile, ethical executives who refused such tactics often grew more slowly, their reputations solid, but their influence limited by their adherence to principle. The emotional toll of ruthlessness. Witnessing ruthless tactics can stir conflicting feelings within you. You may feel admiration for the sheer effectiveness coupled with discomfort at the human cost. This dissonance is a sign that you value both impact and empathy. The Stoic path invites you to hold both truths, that action must sometimes be harsh to prevent greater harm, and that compassion remains essential to your character. Practical application, ethical flexibility. When you face a moral dilemma, whether in negotiation, management, or personal relationships, pause and frame your decision with two questions. What principle guides me? And what outcome am I protecting? If you must bend a rule, ensure it serves a higher good rather than personal gain. This disciplined approach helps you act decisively while maintaining alignment with your deepest values. Philosophical commentary. Epictetus taught, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they happen, and you will go on well." Unforeseen crises often force you to choose between competing virtues, honesty and loyalty, fairness and expediency. By accepting that moral life involves trade-offs, you prepare yourself to respond adaptively without abandoning your core integrity. Cultivating courageous integrity. True courage lies in facing the possibility of personal loss when you stand by your ethics. Small acts, refusing to participate in gossip, speaking truth to a superior, or returning an unfair bonus, build your moral muscle. Each time you choose principle over ease, you strengthen your ability to withstand the pressure to conform to ruthless norms. Invitation to reflect. Think of a time you grappled with a moral choice. Perhaps you remained silent when you should have spoken up or acted too harshly under stress. Recall the feelings that arose: regret, relief, compassion. Use those memories to guide your next dilemma, aiming for a balance where integrity and practicality meet. Part 7. Strengthening your defenses. Institutional and personal safeguards. When you understand the forces that elevate incompetence, you gain the power to safeguard yourself and your community. This final affirmation isn't about cynicism. It's about building robust structures and inner habits that reward genuine merit and protect against manipulation. By combining Stoic discipline with Machiavellian insight, you can design environments where wisdom thrives and folly falters. Personal safeguards. Start with the person in the mirror, your own mind. Epictetus taught, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." Cultivate intellectual humility by regularly questioning your assumptions. Each morning, write a brief reflection on one belief you hold. Why do I believe this? What evidence might contradict it? This practice sharpens your capacity for self-scrutiny and prevents overconfidence from taking root. Next, develop your media literacy. In a world awash with headlines designed to provoke, learn to pause. Before sharing or acting on a claim, ask, who benefits from my reaction? Seek multiple sources. Favor long-form analysis over sound bites. And remember Warren Buffett's counsel: read, read, read. By feeding your mind with depth rather than noise, you build resilience against simplistic narratives that prey on emotional vulnerabilities. Finally, embrace daily reflection. At day's end, ask yourself, where did I see incompetence rewarded today? How did I respond? This Stoic ritual transforms passive observation into active learning. Over time, you'll cultivate an internal compass that guides you toward environments of integrity and away from those riddled with hollow promises. Institutional reforms. While personal vigilance is vital, true change requires structural support. Machiavelli himself recognized that power dynamics depend on design as much as on individual character. Start by advocating for accountability mechanisms where you live and work. Whether it's a rotating leadership review, anonymous feedback channels, or transparent decision logs. These structures expose incompetence quickly. When failures are visible, they cannot hide behind charisma or connections. Next, champion cognitive diversity. Seneca reminded us, it is not so much our friends' help that helps us as the confidence of their help. Diverse teams, across skills, backgrounds, and perspectives, challenge groupthink and generate richer solutions. In meetings, invite voices you normally wouldn't hear. When decisions feel too easy, pause and ask, what perspectives have we overlooked? This habit ensures that your organization values depth over deference. Finally, insist on transparency. Complex systems often reward obscurity. Push for clear metrics of success and open communication channels. In government, this might mean sunshine laws. In companies, it could mean public dashboards of key performance indicators. Transparency discourages the manipulation of information and aligns outcomes with genuine competence rather than with polished appearances. Stories of transformation. Consider a mid-sized nonprofit that struggled under a charismatic but unscrupulous founder. Board members, dazzled by his confidence, ignored mounting financial irregularities. When a group of dedicated staff proposed an independent audit and regular financial briefings, they faced resistance, yet their persistence paid off. The audit revealed mismanagement, leadership changed, and new accountability measures were installed. Donations soared, and the nonprofit's mission regained its urgency. This example shows that even deeply entrenched islands of incompetence can be dismantled when personal courage and structural safeguards unite. Philosophical commentary. Marcus Aurelius noted, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Both Stoic and Machiavellian thought converge here. Integrity requires both inner conviction and outer design. When you live by this maxim and push for systems that reflect it, you create a virtuous cycle. Competence is recognized, folly is exposed, and trust becomes the currency of lasting influence. Invitation to reflect. Take a moment now to survey your own circles, family, workplace, community. Identify one area where accountability is weak or transparency is lacking. What small step can you take this week to introduce a safeguard, a feedback form, a reflection session, a request for diverse input? Your action, however modest, plants a seed for a culture of merit and wisdom. Conclusion. You've journeyed through Machiavelli's stark vision of power, seeing how perception can eclipse genuine skill, how overconfidence and loyalty can silence true talent, and how simplistic narratives and moral compromises can propel the foolish into leadership. Yet you've also discovered the tools to defend against these dynamics. Intellectual humility, media literacy, reflective practice, and robust accountability structures that elevate competence over charisma. As you move forward, carry these insights into your daily life and communities. Notice when you're drawn to certainty over nuance, or when loyalty eclipses merit. Then pause, breathe, and choose to uphold wisdom and integrity. Your awareness becomes a beacon, illuminating paths for others to follow. Now I'd love to hear from you. In your experience, where have you seen these patterns of foolish power play out? What strategies have helped you or your organization uphold genuine competence? Share your stories and insights in the comments below. If this exploration resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the Stoic Philosophy. Hit the bell icon to receive weekly reflections that help you navigate complexity with clarity, courage, and compassion. Thank you for watching. May your actions be guided by virtue and your influence grounded in true wisdom.